As you begin to learn more about digital media, one of the things that we'll be using in our classes is a software package called Photoshop. It's by Adobe. And when you open Photoshop up, you are going to be looking at an interface that has quite a lot of options in it. Now, Photoshop is made by a company called Adobe, and it's part of what's now the CC, or the Creative Cloud Suite. And Photoshop used to be just for digital photography and digital images, but now it can be used for a lot of things. You can actually use it for video, you can use it for vector art, you can use it for 3D texturing and Photoshop or digital photos, manipulation, compositing, all kinds of things. And it's used in lots of different ways by lots of different people. In this class, and this is the Digital Media's Foundation class, or any of these 3D animation classes that we teach, you're going to be using Photoshop to manipulate images, to create compositing, to create texture maps that go on 3D models. But in the beginning, you're going to be working with some basic tools. And in this video series here, I just want to introduce you to some of the basic tools that you'll be working with. Certainly not a comprehensive tutorial or a lesson. And you'll want to go to a website called lynda.com. Is a software, or is a website that allows you to search for video tutorials. Now, students at Parkland already have a membership to lynda.com now, and you can go there and you can search at different levels and see all the different types of videos that exist for Photoshop. And you can look at different beginner levels, 104 videos based at a beginner level. And you can see different things. For some videos might have 4 or 5 hours worth of content, and some may have a few minutes on a specific topic. What you're going to be doing in this class is basically creating a composite of a bunch of different pictures. And so, for example, if you were to look at the class schedule, and we look at what's called project, we're going to be looking at Project 2. It'll just say Project 2 here. What you're going to be doing is creating a new image out of a series of images. Basically, it's a compositing project. You're going to put different things together, different individual images into one, and to create something different. For example, I have a concrete step, and then I added pictures of windows and garage doors and that sort of stuff to make it look like a building. This is a picture of a bird bath that I had come across, and I found a picture of a swimmer, and I put that together. This is a picture of a horse grazing on a forest, and this is a picture of it started out as an empty storefront, and a student put in a polar bear and a little girl and reflections and all that sort of stuff to make it look like a different image. Here's kind of compositing different things together to create a kind of an unusual type of image. So you're going to be creating something new from something old, or sorry, not something new from something old, something new from a variety of different images. And that's the basics of what I want to kind of show you today. And as this kind of just introduces you to Photoshop as it's kind of in the basics. So when you begin with Photoshop, you'll start basically with nothing, and I'm going to show you how you can. I'm going to have to move this around a little bit because we're going to be working with layers. So there's a lot to this. But the first thing we have to do is open up an image of some sort. Now, our first one that we're going to be working with is a koala bear image found in the images library. If you're working with Microsoft Windows, usually they give you sample pictures, and in that they'll give you pictures of landscapes or something, and I'm going to be using this koala image here. Now, if you don't have this, you can go online and find something. The point really isn't. The point is you'll find an image that you can use and experiment with these tools. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to open that file. I'm going to say open. I'm going to go to the folder that contains my sample images, and there I'm going to open by selecting the koala.jpg. Now there are a lot of different file types that can be used within Photoshop. Photoshop will open up JPEGs or PNGs or TIFFs or a whole lot of other file types. And file types do matter depending on what you're wanting to do with it. Certain file types contain more information, like color channel information, than others. A JPEG contains the standard red, green, blue RGB file types, whereas a PNG will also have the RGB, the red, green, and blue file channels, color channels, as well as alpha channels and other information that might be added to it. But for now, we're just going to focus on these some basic elements. And again, learning more about Photoshop as you need, as it applies to different projects, is going to be something that you'll want to do as you mature in digital media and work with these things. You might not need every single feature ever that's possible, but you'll certainly want to be familiar with a few of these, and you'll grow in knowledge as you move along. Now, the first thing that you're going to notice is that when you open up your image, it should load here, and you have what's called a layers area over here. You have kind of what's called layers. And what's cool about layers is that it gives you basically the ability to stack pictures on top of one another. And when you do that, you can then organize different aspects of the image. So like my bird bath image, the bird bath is part of the picture, but different elements within that picture are actually separate. And so as I make something like this bird bath, this person is really on top of this bird bath picture. And so this element here, these parts are actually made up of different parts. So here is this image as I created it in Photoshop, and you'll see that over here on the side I have a whole bunch of layers, and if I begin to take the layers and turn them off so they're not visible, certain parts of the image will start to be visible and invisible. So I'm going to start to turn off certain parts of my picture. Alright, so that's with all of the layers off. Here is the picture of a swimmer. Here is the picture of my bird bath. And so as I start to dissect out and take pieces away, I start to add things like my swimmer into my bird bath. So here's just what the swimmer looks like as I remove parts of the original image. And here is what my bird bath looks like as I take away different parts that I don't need. And so I'm extracting out, this is the reflection layer that will go on top, and then I have certain splashes and stuff like that. And as I start to build up, this is the front edge of my bird bath that would be towards the camera, so it would be on top. The higher in the stack, the more in front things appear. So something appears here on top, then that's going to lay on top of something. Just like you were putting clear plastic with pictures on it, you put them on top of something else, and you're essentially stacking out the base image. The thing on the bottom of the stack is being covered up by the things on top. But you have what's called an alpha channel or a transparency channel, and that allows you to see through or see around. So these checkerboards that you see here behind are actually clear transparency, like if I was painting on a window or glass. And so that allows me then to build up a composition by layering portions together, and that's how I come up with the final image in the end. Okay, I have to pull out and extract out things that I want, add in things that I need, fake some lighting, add water splashes and those kind of things. So I covered up this edge here with the front edge of my original. And so it's just kind of a series of refinements and layers and taking things out and trying to make things match. Okay? And so that's kind of the idea. So all of that begins with a series of pictures. I had a bird bath and a swimmer. You might have a lot of others, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 different pictures that you want to put together. And so it all starts kind of with the basics. So when you open or load an image, I would say go to Open, Find. I would put all my images in a single folder that I want to work out of. So for instance, I made a folder called Surreal Images, and in that I have different pictures that I want to use. And so things that I might want to use as elements within my scene. So for instance, I went around and I started taking pictures of things that I thought might be interesting to use as a surreal image. And so I took, this is one of the steps. Let's see if I have that. So I went around and I just took pictures of stuff, and I just let my imagination kind of wander a little bit, wander around, and I didn't use all of them, but some of them I used. I actually, see if I can find the concrete step that I had used for. This is kind of like the step that I had used for the, here's the original image of the step I used for in the buildings. And then I used different things like windows, and so you can get lots of different images that are called knockouts or things with alpha channels that are just kind of made separate, and then you can take these from another source. So here's a window that I used, and here's another window I used, and I used a garage door, this garage door, and I just started to layer things. So you can get these kind of texture packs. They're called texture packs or those kind of things. And one of the really good places to look for those types of things is actually a place called CG Textures. CG Textures. And when you go there, you can choose different things. Like if I wanted to look up doors, for instance, I can look up different types of doors, metal doors, more wooden doors. And when I do that, I can go and I can get doors, all kinds of doors to which I could use in my image. Barn doors, double doors. If I wanted to find ground cover, I could look at gravel, ice, rock, ink, landscapes, and I can download these pictures and I can use them in my work. Now some of them aren't free, but some of them are. You have to create an account and log in for that. And so that's another resource that you can use, and I use that quite a lot when I'm texturing things in 3D. And so you'll start off by gathering all these things together yourself. And some things you'll use and some that you won't, but you want to have these resources available when you begin making your image. So you'll start by creating a folder and stuffing it full of these assets that you'll be using for your image.